Welcome to Financials with How. It's always a pleasure to learn together with you. And we continue on our Woman of Wealth series. Today we pick up on a conversation that I titled You Faith, which just came to me this morning as I was just reflecting on what conversations I'd like us to have and what is God speaking in my heart that would be so beautiful to share also. And interesting with this, one woman came to mind. And Sarah, yes, we know Sarah because we can relate her to Abraham being the father of faith. But the journey of Sarah's faith is sort of different because we look at, especially the time of waiting for the child of promise and how it played out. And there was quite a bit of Sarah kind of being in that place of, will it happen? Will it really happen? Can I take things in my own hands? Can I ensure that, oh yeah, I am moving things as God is still processing his work? And I'll take us to scripture so that we can have a look at that, what that looked like. And I know you're wondering how that relates to our finances, but it's so key because many times God has told us what he's going to do. And we begin to think through it in a different way and we falter. So let's start with Genesis 16. Then that's 1 through to 4. Now Sarai, Abraham's wife, had borne him no children, and she had an Egyptian maidservant whose name was Hagar. So Sarai said to Abraham, see now the Lord has restrained me from bearing children. Please go into my handmaid. Perhaps I shall obtain children by her. And Abraham heeded the voice of Sarah. Then Sarah, Abraham's wife, took Hagar her maid, the Egyptian, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan. So he went into Hagar and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress became despised in her. Wow. See how it closes? Yeah. Sarah had gotten to the place of her weight. And looking through their story, they were pretty mature. This was probably well into their 70s. And she just decided there needs to be a child in this home. And as the custom was in that time, you could do what word did I use? You could have someone, you could take someone was your maidservant, could have a child, and that child decided that yes. But we see the outcome even for Sarah, just at the moment of conception, her maidservant is already turning against her in her demeanor towards her. And that's the thing with when our faith falters, we put ourselves in a situation that many times leaves us worse off than where we had begun. Because the wait on God for what he had said he would actualize has now been preceded by Sarah's plan. So pause there. Let's move. So God is still kind. One of the things I've seen as I've read through the commentaries on this issue is we see the mercy of God throughout all the decisions that Sarah was making that were contrary to the weight of faith. So God sends angels. So this is Genesis 16 through 2. Around 16. No. Sorry, ladies. We proceed to, yes, the angels are in Genesis 18. So this is Genesis 18 from verse 12. And it says, let's start from 10. And he said, I will certainly return to you according to the time of life, and behold, Sarah your wife shall have a son. At this juncture, actually, they have been renamed. So at the time Hagar was having Ishmael, they were Sarai and Abram. At this time, when this promise is coming through, they are now Abraham and Sarah. Sarah was listening in the tent door, which was behind him. Now, Abram and Sarah were old, well advanced in age, and Sarah had passed the age of childbearing, meaning this was already stipulated from time immemorial. Therefore, Sarah laughed within herself, saying, after I have grown old, shall I have pleasure, my Lord being old also? And the Lord said to Abraham, why did Sarah laugh, saying, shall I surely bear a child since I am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? At the appointed time, I will return to you according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. But Sarah denied it, saying, I did not laugh, for she was afraid. And he said, no, but you did laugh. I love the second part. Like, God is so present. So Sarah, God has sent a word confirming that indeed what he said will come to pass. And Sarah is eavesdropping conveniently, yet doubting in her eavesdrop. Like her faith is under, even in her eavesdropping. It's not even in the main conversation. And her faith is still the one that's under. And it's something that happens to us as women a lot. I can attest to it myself. When I've looked through my financial journey and the things I wanted to do, I've told myself, oh my goodness, this just doesn't look like it will pan out. This just doesn't look like it's going to work out the way I want. I'm stuck. I don't know where to move. God, you said, and I'm not seeing whether you're saying will come through. And I reflect back, I'll probably say this a lot, to forgive me in advance, to 2019 when I was in between jobs, starting a new business, in school for my master's, making life decisions, and everything about my finances was so down. The debt that was over my head, I could not even perform it, to the point of I couldn't even talk about it. You know, the way you're so stuck, how do you don't know? Do I start from saying I'm stuck at B, or I'm stuck at D, or I'm stuck at Z? Like you don't even know where you're stuck, but you know you need to get out. Yet at the end, you see a light based on the promise that God has made. You know that He has said He will do it, He is faithful to accomplish it. So the place of our faith is that we keep going back to God with our journey. And I could even speak to my own experience, 2019, 2023 to date. Fast forward, 80% of that debt is cleared. A large percent of my life is off current income. There's nothing of borrowed income. So it's the place of my faith was so low, yet God was present. The mercy of God stepped in. The same way it stepped in for Sarah, it stepped in for me, and the same way it will step in for each of us. So it's not that we will not have that time where the questions are raging and the situation is looking opposite. Like you look at Sarah and she's like, good, I am old. It's not even, and even my husband is old. As in, it's not even that you're saying, okay, you're old and then your husband is young. And then, she was looking at the situation full circle, seeing it from her eyes, but God was seeing the other side of the circle, that He would then be part of her redemption story. And we see that Sarah's name is mentioned in the annals of history, alongside Abraham, and she who birthed Isaac, the child of promise, who named him rightly. You have brought laughter to this home, and whose child remained the heir. Abraham did have other children who were given wealth, but the heir of all that Abraham had was Isaac as a child of promise from God. So the encouragement to us this morning is our financial journey may be looking really down, taking a twist that we don't understand, but the faith we need to have to keep going is key. And also remembering that the mercy of God will show up for us is very key. It doesn't negate the place of our own work, but our work must be greater than the promise of God. Because we've had it said, help yourself, all of that. There's a level of engagement in such actions that has to be guided by God. You cannot do your own action. And the challenge I've given us is keep writing. Part of the reason I can sit back and say, hey, 2019, this is where I was financially, and 2023, this is where I am, is because I actually have a record. I have the books that would show me, my goodness, this was everything we were trying to pay off. I have the books and the papers that show me this is what I have paid off to date. And I have the records today that shows me how I'm raising up, or I'm coming out, or I have come out of that place to the next level, and I continue to become a woman of God. Thank you so much for listening. Looking forward to us building up on this conversation, and keep writing, keep journaling. God is doing something great for each of us as women, as part of our families, as we serve where we are at, whether we are married, whether we are single, whether we are serving in the community, in our places of faith, in our workplaces. God is doing something great for each of us. The scripture tells us, blessed is she who believes that they would be an accomplishment of what the Lord has spoken unto her. Talk to you soon again. It's